The book is an exploration of the relevance of Indian classical wisdom in reorienting modern management. It highlights the need for facilitating an internally directed spiritual dimension to business management, including management education as an alternative to instrumental rationality and materialism in today's profit-driven business world.
Good morning to one and all present. It is indeed my privilege to be here this morning with a friend and a colleague, Professor Sanjay Mukherjee. I call it a privilege because the book that we just inaugurated represents a labor of love. And this love affair has been there for 25 years. And it culminated in a book that has 15 essays written over a period of 25 years. And they are an amalgam of thought, and it also marks how he progressed as a writer and as an individual. A graduate of Jadavpur University in mechanical engineering, Sanjay Mukherjee said that he took flight into different areas, which included music, the arts, theater, literature, and the best part, he fell in love with all of them. And in a world where we find that human beings, if they are an engineer, they are only an engineer. If they are a person engaged in literary activities, they are engaged only in that. But here is a person whose interest spans over multiple areas, and he does everything with a finesse that is hard to replicate. So Sanjay da, in this world where we are told to become specialists in a particular area and shut our minds to everything else, how did you manage to span so many domains and still maintain the humility that you have?
Thank you. First of all, I'm grateful to my friend and colleague, esteemed colleague, Professor Sanjeeb Kakoty, for being with us here as a coordinator, moderator, whatever you call it, to have a conversation with me and sparing his time. I thank everyone here for being present today on this occasion at this event, especially to our Chief Secretary, Mr. Donald Wallen, who happens to be an alumnus of IIM Calcutta as I am, and Madam Patricia Mukim, the editor of Shillong Times, kindly agreed to be here also. Thank you. I see a very well-known name in Shillong, Mr. Sanjoy Hazarika, is there with us. Thank you, sir, for being with us and inspiring us. And all of you, and especially the students and people from the faculty from the academic community, people from IIM Shillong, a big thanks first to begin with. Well, the question that was asked, the answer comes from a sense of space. 35 years of my formative life I spent on Southern Avenue in Calcutta. You have the sprawling boulevards, and there was the Takuria Lake. My friend Sanjeeb was staying there for a little while, I know, very recently. So that gave me the fresh air and the new light from day one. Yes, I was pursuing science, yes, I was pursuing engineering, but that started to, breathe in new air and new light into me. That's first. The school which I went to, like many of you, I was in a missionary school for 12 years, St. Lawrence High School, Calcutta. It had 3 fields, no, 3 sprawling fields in front of the building of the school, where, which is not there in I don't know about any other school in Calcutta which has 3 fields like that spread out where the children play around. Again, the space. So when I landed in Jadavpur University after my +2, again I felt that same space, now expanding into different horizons. This flight to the domain of arts and liberal studies, films, theatre, was ingrained into me. I'm grateful for that to Jadavpur University. Its culture, its heritage, its tradition. For the first time I came to know stalwarts from the film, world film arena. François Truffaut, Jean-Luc Godard, Ingmar Bergman, and who not. Theatre, Bertolt Brecht. In the 3rd year of my engineering, I created my own theatre group. And there were participants, players, actors, directors coming from across the eastern part of the country. IIT Kharagpur, St. Xavier's College, Calcutta, Presidency College, Calcutta, Jadavpur University, you name it, they were all in my group. And we performed for about 7 years in Calcutta stage, in all the main stages of Calcutta, both in Bengali and in English equally, and thankfully, by the grace of God, we got an acclaim which was rare to find in those days. But when I joined IIM Calcutta as a student, I left the responsibility with someone else, and then he carried on. It went on for a couple of years. Then the person whom I had given that responsibility, he was a genius par excellence. He became a monk. He went into spiritual life. It was around that time that we turned towards something beyond, which if I may call spiritual. I'll explain that word later in this conversation. But it's so important for us friends. When I look back, look at my friends, look at my students, something haunts me. To what my friend and colleague, Professor Kakoty, suggested, we are allowed only to think in one direction. I remember the book One Dimensional Man by Herbert Marcuse, which I read when I was in IIM Calcutta. So 2 things are, plaguing us these days in the academic world, in the thinking world, in our growing up. One is linear thinking, not lateral, linear, focus. Focus is important, but not at the expense of spread. Unless we spread, we just, money, 1 lakh, 10 lakhs, 2 crores, 5 crores, but only money. That's it, okay? 1 car to 2 cars to 4 cars to 5 cars, cars only. So linear thinking. And the other is binary logic. Either someone is good or someone is bad. Not the whole spectrum, not the pendulum. Is either at one end or at the other, black or white. Is labeling. This ism is good because I like it, but this ism, this fellow is pursuing the other ism, so he's not my type, so I am not his friend. When thought paradigms invade the domain of human relationships, human nature, then there's a problem. I may have strong differences with you, but in a healthy spirit. That doesn't mean that I'm losing you as a friend. But it happens these days, unfortunately. So, in order to break the shells of binary thinking and linear logic, I ventured out. And I found my, not just solace, but my space and my expanded space in Rabindranath Tagore, Satyajit Ray. Well, don't mind, there are many of them are Bengalis. But I started by saying that world film, world theatre had influenced me greatly also. But, I personally remember one documentary which was created by the great master Satyajit Ray on another great master, Rabindranath Tagore, to celebrate or to commemorate his birth centenary. 1961, Nehru government mandated that a documentary be created on Tagore. And what came out was a masterpiece, 52 minutes. It's still there in the YouTube. You can just click Rabindranath Tagore by Satyajit Ray. It will come, 52 minutes, masterpiece, black and white. There you find Tagore is being sent, the young Tagore, Robi, is being sent to schools in his childhood. But he hates the schools. He ran away from 6 schools. 6 schools. Finally, he was educated at home. So the camera shows in that documentary a young boy, Robi, sitting in the class, and there's a teacher. You cannot see the teacher, so nameless, faceless, but you can see a gruff, you can hear a gruff voice. Can you see a box? And the whole class shouts, yes, I can see a box. You know, mindless, what we call, rote learning going on in the class. And then the camera pans on this young boy, Robi, who's not participating in that mindless game. He's looking out of the window. Birds flying, wind blowing, water flowing, he's looking. And come to think of it, this same person, this same young boy, at the age of 40, left the metropolis of Calcutta to take refuge in the heartland of tribals, in the district of Birbhum, in West Bengal, in the western part of Bengal, where there was no modern habitat, no urban habitation. But he remained with the tribals and he created his own institution of learning in the lap of nature. Today we talk about globalization. See, this mind, 100 years back, named it Vishwa Bharati, which is rooted in India, Bharati, but appealing to the world, global. Can there be a match for it? 100 years later, we are talking about globalization, but this man thinks about it in education 100 years back. So that had influenced me, that had helped me to spread the wings, and this is just one example, many others. So many people inspired me in my life to not to get into a straitjacketed kind of a existence, thought, paradigm. And that's what I try to do in IIM Shillong. And thankfully, there are friends and colleagues like Professor Kakoty, who gives me the indulgence to go ahead.
Actually, once you give a teacher a mic, it's a dangerous proposition.
I will remember that now.
And many of the things that we're going to speak would border on sacrilege, because he, and to a lesser extent I, challenge the dominant paradigm. And the dominant paradigm that we have today is that of carriers and consumerism. So I've picked up certain small little nuggets from his book, wanting him to speak more on it. So at one point he writes, a planned life is a closed one. It can be endured, but it can never be lived. But we are saying that we need to plan our education, we need to plan our careers, we need to do everything in life in a planned manner so that we can become better consumers, consume much more and more and more. And then again he says, a planned life is a closed one. It can be endured, but it can never be lived. What do you have to say on that?
So we management professors, you give us the microphone, as you said, and we give you 1 hour lecture on strategic planning, corporate planning, investment planning, career planning, name it. I was aware of that. But at the same time, when I looked at my life, I saw something different. I just give you one example to make this point clear, why it is closed. My first job was in a company called TIL Limited after my engineering. After 2 years, I found that I was vegetating. I was gaining weight, eating a lot of food for lunch, and intellectually, cerebrally, I was suffering. I was not progressing at all. So 2 of us, myself and my friend Ratan Kumar, we were in the same class of mechanical engineering in JU. We were also colleagues sitting side by side in the company. We decided to appear for all the exams. Name it, GRE, GMAT, CAT, IAS, whatnot. Everything. Kuch karna hai, padhna hai abhi. Bas, we have to do something else. So finally what happened that Ratan targeted GRE, Ratan targeted CAT, I targeted GRE, and we shared each other's study notes, etc. Those days were not the days of where you had coaching classes, but you have corresponding courses. So we took those correspondence courses and we shared the money also. 14th December 1986, Saturday, GRE exam. I was in full gear. I will crack, but I could not crack. After half an hour, I could make out that it's not my day. Things are not happening. So I came out a completely disgusted, disoriented person after 2 hours of the exam. Ratan, my friend who was targeting CAT, not GRE, said that his day was good. He did it pretty well. So I said, "Theek hai bhai, tum chalo." And next Sunday, that is 22nd of December 1986, was CAT. So I told him, I'm not going to appear for CAT because I think I've lost my elements by now. वो sharpness चला गया अभी. I cannot. So you please go ahead, I won't appear. 21st December, Saturday evening, deliberately, consciously, willfully, I threw a party in a hotel in South Calcutta. Calling my friends from school and my university, Yadop University, about 10 people were there. We went around till midnight. Came back home after midnight, told my mom that please don't wake me up for the exam. I'll wake up after the exam finishes. My mother said, okay, you won't appear for the exam. I was the only child, so she didn't, he tampered a lot, but she didn't, stand in my way. So he said, okay, tum so jao. 8 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings. And my friend Ratan Kumar wakes me up saying, we had been studying together for the last 1 year. Hum tumko nahi chhodega. You have to appear for the exam. I'm coming with the car. I said, I had a party till about 1 o'clock. I cannot wake up now, sorry. Then you give the phone to my mother. Auntie, please give him lemon water. Okay, and I'm coming. So I had lemon water and a cup of coffee. I was following his, instructions. My only preparation for CAT was from 8:30 in the morning to 9:30 in the morning that day, 22nd of December. 1 hour I listened to the 9th Symphony of Beethoven. 1 hour. That was my preparation for CAT. I was a lover of Beethoven for all times. So and then Ratan comes with a cab so that I don't escape and took me to the exam hall. 10 o'clock the exam starts. Within 10 minutes I could make out that things are happening. Kuch preparation, no preparation at all. Things are happening. One after the other. Fastest 2 hours of my life I spent. Came out with a beaming face saying, boss, crack ho gaya. 250 questions, I answered 210, I still remember. My friend Ratan, who was targeting CAT, looked gloomy. He said, sorry, this was not my day today. So to sum it up, finally, the call which I was promised from the scholarship from Florida, University of Florida, Gainesville, Nuclear Engineering Department, they finally refused because I did not get that requisite GRE. My friend Ratan Kumar took that call with his GRE score and went to Florida, Gainesville to study nuclear engineering. I joined IIM Calcutta. How can I say my life is planned, my friends? This is my answer.
Lovely. I was talking about the love story that he's had for 25 years, writing this 15 different essays. And during this time, the transformation that happened in Sanjay Mukherjee is that, in his own words, from a researcher, he became a seeker, from a pathfinder to becoming a fellow traveler. And he learned that he needs to move away from debate to dialogue and from lecture to conversation. Huge transformations in a person. Could you tell us something about it?
Yeah. First thing is this seeker from someone who's claims to be a knowledgeable person to a seeker. This came to me only in contact with some great minds, great people in my life. And great doesn't mean that they are very well known or famous, no. Some of the best of personalities who have inspired me are not known to this world today. So much. So what I learned from them, which I did not have earlier, when I was in school, I learned from them the power, the potential, and the blessing of what we call humility. the readiness to learn, the willingness to learn. Not that I know, I say. At one time we used to do that in school. Yeah, I am saying this. And we used to have a lot of debates in school, as Mr. Kakoty was saying. No. Later on I found the debate is not helping me to enrich my knowledge only. So where to go? I landed up in US and Europe for conferences, etc. And there, again, coincidentally, not planned, I met people who liked my way of speaking and introduced me to the art of dialogue. I can tell you, my friends, please don't take me otherwise. Such senior persons are here, Chief Secretary, Editor of Shillong Times. We Indian, especially the academics, are very good at debates. We want to push our point. We want to crush the other. We are not ready to learn from the other. When my presentation is over for 10-15 minutes, I go down and talk to the my colleagues or the academic fraternity about my son's education and my daughter's marriage. I am not listening to the other guy who's speaking, please. I've seen this time and again in conferences. Where is the readiness to learn? Where is the willingness to know what the other is saying? So that I learned sitting in the Aspen Institute of US, and also in the SPES Forum in Europe, which is primarily located in Budapest. I learned from them. We Indians have still to go a long way to learn the art of dialogue. Yes, very, very, very good in debates, no doubt about it. Professor Sen has already mentioned the argumentative Indian, no doubt about it. But he does it in a way which is very respectable, I've read that book, it's an inspiration for me. But that argumentative is not meaning arrogant, Somewhere this arrogance has come and it blocks knowledge. Arrogance blocks knowledge. I remember Einstein saying, don't look for elegance in arrogance. You will find elegance only in simplicity. In his Ideas and Opinions, I've read this line. It just remained with me. So this humility is what helped me to learn from the others, to suspend my judgment, to suspend my opinion. It taught me to see and to listen without being judgmental. When I am listening to you, at the same time I am judging you, please note that half of my listening faculty is going into judgment. So I'm not listening you properly. So, art of dialogue, suspending my position and opening up to learning from the others. Multiple perspectives. Which is what we need, sir. To break the barriers of linear thinking and binary logic, we need to develop a kind of love for celebrating multiple perspectives. So.
Wonderful. Not many people know of this fact that he, along with his teacher S.K. Chakrabarty, were pioneers of a different kind. Management education was essentially Western. It was born in the US and extended to Europe. And at some point of time, you find that Confucianism, Shintoism, philosophy of the East was percolating management education. But as far as Indian contribution to management education, there was a large vacuum, as if India had nothing to contribute. Then comes a center, the Management Center for Human Values, started by somebody I never met, but I've read of him and I revere him, Professor S.K. Chakrabarty. And that brought in the concept of Indian ethos to management. And Sanjay has been carrying that flag all over the world. We would like to hear something from him, because this by itself is a phenomenal contribution to the world of management, the introduction of Indian ethos to management. Sir, we would want you to speak something on this.
Thank you. It's a very, very pertinent and important question and theme. Thank you, Professor Kakoty, Sanjeeb Dada. Again, it was not planned. Around the year 1988, when I was a second year student of IMC, IIM Calcutta, I was desperately looking for some spiritual anchorage, someone who has seen the light. Not just someone who talks about spirituality, but someone who has actually experienced it. Dr. Chakraborty's course gave, he conducted a course for the second year students. It was a elective course. I took it, and I was impressed by it. It gave me the intellectual, opening. But where is the experience? So I found this man. In a man of slender means, living in a very simple house in Kalighat area near the Kali temple in South Calcutta. A philosopher and a spiritual master par excellence, in the domain of tantras. But not the tantras we know, the red cloth and the other things associated with it, not that. The pristine, pure tantra. So I was deeply inspired by him. 1988 to 1992, I was in his company. I was studying, I was doing my corporate job, but every other day I'll go and talk to him. He treated me like his son. And then he was diagnosed with cancer. His last 1 month was, breathing in pain in bed. Even during that time when we used to visit him, his face will beam, "Young man, how are you?" When I should be asking, "How are you, sir?" he was asking me with a beaming smile and sparkling eyes, "How are you? How are you? You haven't come for 3 days. Why are you so late?" All these questions. So at that time I was telling him that I want to leave my job. I was earning a hell of a lot that time. 12,000 rupees in 1990 was not a matter of joke. So per month. So I said, I'm not liking it. It's a finance company, merchant banking job. I was not liking it. So no, don't leave your job. Then he told me something. I'm sharing this with you. 60 years, I haven't shared this in public forum. He held my hand, lying in the bed, terminal patient of cancer, held my hand and said, "Your work is going to come. And it will be coming from your institute where you passed out from in Joka. And that time I won't be there, but you will remember me." There was no Center for Human Values that time. S.K. Chakraborty had given his resignation that time to the new director, Subir Chaudhary. He said that I want to pursue human values on my own. He had given his resignation. His resignation letter was with Subir Chaudhary. At that time, this man passed away on the 24th of March, 1992. And then one day, I left the job. I started working on my own. One day I went to IIM Calcutta in the month of May 1992, and I found Dr. Chakraborty there in his chamber. Half an hour he spoke to me, saying briefly that a center will be created in IIM Calcutta on human values and Indian ethos in management. Asked me, do you wish to join it? I remember that old man in the deathbed. I won't be there, you will remember me. Friends, these days I find a lot of people talking about spirituality. In the media, social media, yahan pe, wahan pe. Everyone has a role to play, everyone is important, no doubt, but getting it from the right person who has seen the light. Otherwise, one blind leading 1,000 blinds creates havoc, disaster in the society. This is happening today. If one has seen the light, I can tell you one or two things. That person won't be eager to publicize, number one. No. As a policy, as a tragedy, no, I won't. And that person will be radiating love to you, whoever you are. Whether you are a zamindar or a zamandar. Whether you come from the palace or from the pavement, you'll get the same treatment. I've seen this. It's not just a matter of words. So these people inspired me to pursue Indian ethos in management. And the rest, I was sitting in IIM Calcutta library. At that time, I was a great fan of Beethoven. I was telling you, Mozart and Beethoven, classical music. I was reading Romarola, the great French Nobel laureate. He was a great, admirer of Beethoven. He wrote his biography also. And then Romarola, I found, while searching his other books, The Life of Vivekananda. What a masterpiece. And he compares the voice of Vivekananda with the music of Beethoven. in that book. And I was completely turned around and transformed. So from Beethoven, through Romarol, I come back to Vivekananda. And then S.K. Chakraborty teaching Indian ethos, the person whom I'm in touch with, inspiring me, all that pushed me to this domain. It was not that I planned it, please. It all came to me. The push came. Then I started meeting people. Those of you who are taking this book, interested in this book, just read the prologue. Prologue is my journey. It tells you. And our epilogue is the continuity of the journey today, right? So, like, how did I come to Indian ethos? Yes. That time, as Chief Secretary will know, IIM Calcutta was created in 1961 in collaboration with Sloan School of Management, MIT. A few months later came IIM Ahmedabad in collaboration with Harvard Business School. We have the legacy of Western management education, principles and practices from the West. And we have learned a lot from that, I can assure you, sure enough. But we can import technology and we can import finance. We can import derivatives. Can we import culture, please? So comes Shintoism. A fantastic book came out that time, The Art of Japanese Management by Pascal and Athos. Small book, which inspired us. And then the work of S.K. Chakraborty. How did S.K. Chakraborty go into it? Again, unplanned, my friends. He was teaching finance, sir, if you remember. And then by the director at that time, 1979-80, they told him that there's a project which has come, no one is willing to take it. Will you take this? What is that project? Consultancy work. On what? Organization study of Ramakrishna Mission. No one is willing to take it. They are all Westerners people. So he said, I will go and do it. He went into Ramakrishna Mission to study. He came out a completely transformed person. And that's how he started the work on human values in management. That's how comes the Center for Human Values, which is there even today. Right. So this is a journey from.
Right. You're one of those very few individuals in the different management schools who teaches ethics in a management institute. And this actually represents a shift away from IQ, intelligence quotient, to emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, EQ. At one point, you talk about that it's time we put in standard of living along with another caveat, and that is the quality of life. Our standard of living might go up the moment we acquire a lot of new things, but the quality of life may actually go down. So can you tell us very briefly about how did you manage to put in ethics as a mainstream subject in management, which says that the business of business is business, and all that we are there is to make profits, and then you bring in ethics.
And that statement is by a Nobel laureate, Milton Friedman, the great economist. The business of business is only business, nothing else. Anyway, again, when I joined IIM Calcutta as a research fellow, Dr. Chakraborty, for the first few years, sent me to different conferences and meetings and seminars, academic institutions, social institutions, NGOs, spiritual enclaves, monasteries, many places. And I was there as a learner. There were great speakers in many of these forums, great speakers, fantastic amount of knowledge, depth of knowledge, and they had the willingness to communicate. They had the passion to communicate values. But, and this but is very important to my friends who are sitting at the back. When I looked at the audience, I found the age group was not less than 50. But when I look at Swami Vivekananda, Tagore, even in our times, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, those who created movements, who were their target? The youth. Where are the youth? You want to have spearhead a movement of values and ethics. Where are they? So I asked myself, where are we going wrong? So I found out two things. One, if my students are sitting here, they will know. We have to make it interesting. Interesting is a word which I use it very consciously. Interesting doesn't mean it's very fluffy and superficial stuff, not at all. They will be, there are so many things which are attracting them, from shopping malls to nightclubs to whatnot. Why should they come to and listen to a professor teaching about ethics? You have to make it interesting. And I found some teachers in my life who helped me do that. Number one. Number two, make it relevant, so that it is relevant to their context. Because otherwise we are only interested in effectiveness. So we introduced ethics, saying that ethics is also a very important aspect of effectiveness. When Enron happened, when WorldCom happened, 2000 I think, or 2001, in US, New York Times came up with an article by Hugh Gutman, well-known journalist at that time. The title of that was, "Greed Rocks Corporate America." Greed rocks. Now, where is this greed coming from? The greed doesn't come from IQ. The greed comes from the emotional domain of the individual. In our education system, my friends, I submit to you for your kind consideration. From day one in school to the doctorate and the postdoctorate, our focus has been only on the left brain, that is development of the intellect. Very important, but not enough. Emotional competence, emotional development of the individual, EQ, as my friend has said, is so important. Greed does not come from intellect. I don't think greedy, I feel greedy. A Rasgulla comes in front of me, a bong, I feel greedy, right? I feel greedy, I don't think greedy, as simple as that. Right? So, what about the domain of feeling? When we were students, correct me if I'm wrong, sir, there were many people who were opinion leaders with good track records, corporate achievements, who would tell us, don't be emotional, be rational. But after 1996, when Harvard established through research that yes, EQ is important, EI, emotional intelligence, is important, we don't say that. We say, no, emotions are also important. So we have to find a way to enrich the emotions. So to enrich the emotions, my friends, to supplement and complement, not to deny, but supplement and complement the left brain activity, I submit to you for your consideration in your organizations, in your institutions, this culture of positive and noble emotions have to be inculcated. Otherwise, people come out with a lot of sharpness here. I remember one statement in the Holy Quran. It says, greed robs the learned man of his wisdom. A learned man is fine with left brain, okay, but his EQ is not developed, cannot manage greed, cannot graduate from learning to wisdom. Right? Bible says, for example, blessed are those that are pure in heart. Blessed are those that are pure in heart. Bible doesn't say blessed are those that are brilliant in intellect, does it? Just think of that, friends. Throughout the entire Bhagavad Gita, time and again, the Lord has talked about Chitta Shuddhi or Atma Shuddhi, which is purification or enrichment of emotions. So just to give it a thought, friends. So we wanted to bring it back to our curriculum, apart from the intellectual part. And one more thing I'll suggest, in order to introduce that, only book learning does not help. Only case studies do not help. They are important, but you have to introduce alternate forms of learning, alternate modes of learning, which Tagore did in Shantiniketan. Learning from nature. Hey, just look at this. I feel everyone with a mind, a poet's mind, will sit down here, look at this, and start writing. Nature. Just one example. Learning from children. This I'll talk about later. Right.
Right. So I'm quite mindful of the time. We've got another 15 minutes.
Right.
At one point, you quote the French Nobel laureate André Gide that the color of truth is gray. But we live in a world which looks at everything in black and white.
Right.
So what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in our own country cannot be seen from the prism of black and white. It has got to be seen from the prism of shades of gray.
Yeah.
Now, that brings us to the next big question, that is there an acute lack of leadership in countries, in organizations, in the families? You at one point write, a leader is a person committed to the pursuit of excellence. I repeat, a leader is a person committed to the pursuit of excellence. But this seems like an anachronism in a world, again I use your words, that is made up of successful mediocrity. I'd like your take on that. Everywhere we see successful mediocrity.
That's a word I have used in that book also. You know, and that you believe it or not, you know, Secretary Sir is here. I am Calcutta, sitting at dead of night in my hostel room. Someday, it was a day when I was not feeling good with the, you know, kind of career drive of my friends, dear friends, and that was being instigated by the professors also. Many of the professors, not all of them. So I wrote in a lamplight, institutes of higher learning are increasingly becoming breeding grounds of mediocrity, and qualifying saying successful mediocrity. Because when they come with success, they become opinion leaders. They influence the young people. That is the difference, you know. That success speaks, and people are influenced. Multiple perspectives. I didn't speak about the best book on ethics, and I'm not trying to be parochial in any way. I mean what I'm saying. To develop multiple perspectives, look at the same reality from different angles, through different lenses. You know which book helped me the most? I'm sure some of you would agree who have gone through that magnum opus, Mahabharata. Mahabharata, the great epic India has produced. One of my favorite questions in the CAT interview to the students was, give me 2 negative points of Yudhishthir and 2 strong points of positive points of Duryodhan. Every character comes with a shade of white and black. It's all grey, including the blessed Lord. At the end of the Kurukshetra, when 100 sons were killed, Mother Gandhari, who was the mother of the 100 sons, she gave curse to Krishna that you have been responsible for killing my 100 sons, for their death. And I give you the curse that your entire clan will be banished out of this earth. And you will be dying like a pauper. And what did Krishna do? He did not react. He bowed down in front of Mother and said, I accept you. I accept your curse, Mother. And that's exactly what happened. You know, Mahabharata tells you that every character, every one of us here has our shades of white, black, red, everything. You know, the Indian philosophy, the Sankhya philosophy, talks about 3 colors. White, which is the Sattva Gun. Sattva Gun. Sattva is clarity. Red, the Rajogun, which is the dynamism. And the black, which is Tamogun, which is for inertia and darkness. All these 3 guns or characters are there in each one of us. Each one of us. So, we cannot label someone as good and bad. We cannot. When we do it, it's our problem. I cannot see the full reality as it is. Who is a seer? Who is a rishi? A rishi or seer is one who sees reality not as he wants to see, but as it is, as it is. So Indian wisdom has taught me to be able to at least try to, not able to, but try to see reality as it is. You know, this is something which we learn from Indian wisdom. But the way we try to inculcate it, or we try to indoctrinate it around the world today, you know, it's a 1-0 situation, unfortunately. See, we are talking today, everyone, you know, the 75 years of Indian freedom, we are talking about, the theme is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. How does it happen? The world is a network of relationships. They are all my relationships. It is because I, not as in this physical body, not on this vital force, but as in my consciousness, I reach out to the others. I include the others. Otherwise, I cannot be empathetic towards you. My friends, empathy is a word which is very important today. Everyone is talking about empathy today. but we have to cultivate it in our life. Empathy is not a journey of intellect. Empathy is a journey of consciousness where emotions have a very important role to play. Expanding emotions, not the debilitating, weak, negative emotions, but the expanding, positive, noble emotions. Right, friends? So, unless the culture of emotions is strongly built, where is the leader? I spent my time when I was in school with Mother Teresa, coming from a missionary school myself. When I come out of the room every time, after staying half an hour with her, where is the impact? Here or here? Just tell me. It's here. It's nowhere else. So, the heart of the matter, my friends, is a matter of the heart. I mean what I say. So please, and this is not, I'm not talking about the biological heart, please. There is something here we call in Indian wisdom, Hridaya Guha, the cave of the heart. You have tremendous amount of joy. You find that it's palpitating here. Vibrating here, sorry. And if you are feeling, a few days back, I suffered a terrible, my friend knows, financial setback. I'm not going into it. But when I experienced it, it was here I was feeling, completely, crouched, crumbled, unable to live. It's here. The heart of the matter is a matter of the heart expanded.
And I'm drawing you out of that because it hurt him severely, and I don't want him to get into that all over again. That's the heart of the matter. I had a very quick conversation with Sanjay Mukherjee yesterday evening, and we were generally talking about the book. And at one point of time, he says, "You must mention one thing." And I said, "What is that?" We have a common friend, not just him and me. I am Shillong. We had embarked on a journey of sustainability from the day we started. And the man who started it, mentored us, is a man by the name of Paul Srivastav. And he writes the preface of this book. Paul is considered to be one of the foremost exponents of sustainability. Interestingly, there is something called a Club of Rome with 100 members. Most of the membership are for institutions. There are very few individuals who are individual members, and Paul happens to be an individual member of the Club of Rome, a very, very influential thinker. And I think that he agreed to write the preface of this book by itself is a salute to the quality of this book. But we are running out of time a bit, and I'm a stickler for time. I would like to end by requesting Professor Sanjay Mukherjee to read out a page or two from his book that is close to his heart. We are not getting away from our hearts today.
How much time we have there?
We have 5 minutes.
5 minutes, it won't be possible. So I have chosen it this way. I'll just give 2 examples of Indian wisdom in management. 2 examples. And coincidentally, both are from Bengal. Towards the end of his life, the first institution builder of this entire nation, much before the Tatars, his name was Swami Vivekananda. 1st of May 1897, he created a twin institution on the bank of the Ganges before the Tatars came into picture. And in the ship traveling to US, he inspired Jamshedji Tata. Swamiji and Jamshedji were in the same ship, and Swamiji had inspired him to be the industrial tycoon or industrial thought leader of the country. This Swamiji was asked towards the end of his life by his disciple, Sister Nivedita, "Well, you belong to an aristocratic family of North Calcutta. You were a product of Western education, like all of us. You were a student of philosophy. Some of you are here, maybe. So how come you dedicated your entire life to someone who came from the village, who had no formal education, and who was a worshipper of the black goddess? Between the Guru and the Shishya, between Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda, in our language of management, there was no profile matching. So how could it happen?" Swamiji smiled and gave a one-line answer. I felt his wonderful love, full stop. That four-letter word, love. See, this is something I tell my students also. You spend all your energy. You struggle through the night. Coffee, discussions. But finally, if you don't enjoy what you learn, then it is not learning. If it's only for money, only for intellectual discourse, no, it's not learning. Again, a wise man in the streets of Calcutta has told me, learning is what? You earn L. L-E-A-R-N, 5 letters. E-A-R-N is earning. Earn a lot of knowledge, information, etc. Fine. But it's the L that makes the difference, and that L is L-O-V-E, love. You earn it with love, it's learning. You earn it without love. How much you earn, it's not learning. It can be anything else, but not learning. It can be acquisition of knowledge, but not learning. Is one thing I want to say. I felt his wonderful love, Swami Vivekananda. And the last one, I would like to speak from Tagore. 8th of May, 1941, his last birthday, celebrated in Shantiniketan. He was running on ill health that time. And that time, war was raging in Europe, all over the world, 1941. And the poet had great faith in the Western civilization and culture. But on that day, he wrote a book. I'm sorry, it's a book now, but it's an essay. You'll find it in the Google, Crisis of Civilization. The last document left by the great poet, the great philosopher, the Nobel laureate, to us, Crisis of Civilization. And there he writes, the Satyajit Ray documentary which I told you to watch, it ends with this. And I quote, I for once believed that the springs of civilization will issue from the heart of Europe. But today when I'm about to leave this world, that fate has deserted me. I look around and see the crumbling ruins of a proud civilization, strewn like a vast heap of futility. And yet I shall not commit that grievous sin of losing faith in man. In Bangla, he said, Manusher upor bishwash harano mahapap. I shall not commit the grievous sin of losing faith in man. I shall wait for that new dawn when the Holocaust will end and the air will be filled with the spirit of service and sacrifice. Perhaps that dawn will come from the east where the sun rises. So this book, my friend, is also an offering to the northeast, the Ishan corner, the land of the Guru, the land of Shiva, Ishan corner is the land of the Guru. The one who shows the light is in the Ishan corner, the northeast, right? But Tagore says it's east, and I also add northeast, right? Having spent my 14 years in this wonderful city of Shillong with such good friends like Sanjeeb and people like you. So here's my offering to all of you.